All right. How you doing, Dino?
Good to see you again.
Or should I call you Coach today?
Either one works.
Either one, okay. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Das Buddha from Buddha's Portal. This is my very first drug dealer named Dino, which I'm sorry, he sold me my very first comic book.
Which is a declassified.
Yeah, which was 25, 30 years ago.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, that long. I'm going to give him a little time in the camera, pick his brain a little bit, see where the hell he's been, since I haven't seen him in 25, 30 years.
Okay.
I'm not that old, I'm just saying.
I am.
So to let everyone know, last I saw you was Comic Book Cafe with Tom.
Okay.
That's how long ago it's been since I've seen you.
That has been a stretch.
It's been a long stretch. I haven't seen you anywhere in Tampa since then.
Well, I've still been in the area. I've still been involved in comic books. I tried to open up a shop on my own, not too far from the former location of the Comic Book Cafe. And I picked, what's that? I picked the worst time to open up a shop. It was right in the late 90s when the bubble burst.
Oh.
So that wasn't too conducive for that. But then shortly thereafter, there's this magical thing that was discovered called the internet. And that changed the whole game. So I was able to sell comic books and back issues and toys from my home. And still stayed involved in the field. Worked for Cross Generation Comics for a while in Oldsmar when they were down here in an administrative capacity. Helped them put on MegaCon. And the evolution of that is I later am now involved with MegaCon. I help put the show on every year with the Wadira family. And I do conventions, stuff. The Godfather's Comics and Collectibles is the name of my business. It's still around and still active. Do a lot of selling on the web. Do a lot of the shows. And help out the guys here at Heroes Haven. Pete's a good friend of mine. And I like very much being in a comic book shop environment. I was in them so much. I mean, I came up in the business. I like being around like-minded people. Talk about comics, games, toys, movies, all that. And it's something I very much enjoy. You know, in my civilian life, I coach and teach, and I have several of my students helping us out here for Free Comic Book Day.
Civilian life.
My civilian life.
So you take on a persona of superhero when you go into comic mode?
Well, no. Most of the time when I'm in comic book mode, everybody just knows me as Dino, but when I'm teaching, I'm Coach. And that has now kind of, washed over to the comic book side because I'll always have my students and my assistants with me, and people will hear me, hey coach, hey coach, hey coach, and more people now call me Coach than my actual name. My mother calls me Coach now. And for me, that's, I've been coaching and teaching for 20 years.
See, I can't get my mom to call me Buddha.
Well, if she calls me Dino, I probably won't pay attention, but she calls me Coach, I listen up.
Gotcha.
So, coach sports, coach football, girls volleyball, several different sports. Very much enjoy teaching and coaching young people. I teach comics in school. We use it in English, we use it in anthropology, sociology, philosophy, and the kids really seem to be drawn to it and be interested in it. And anytime you can get young people interested in something, that really helps in terms of them accumulating and gaining knowledge. It's all in terms of the presentation. So, still been involved in comics, still love comics, love every aspect of the business, and the best people in the world collect comic books because you can meet people from literally all parts of the country, all demographics, race, creed, color, but we can all come together and share a very common interest and understand one another, though we've never met. And I think that's an awesome thing.
Kind of sort of like music, but on paper.
Correct.
And where were you when I was going through school? You sound like an awesome teacher.
Well, a couple of my students are here. You can ask them and ask them about that. But they're awesome kids, and they make it worthwhile. They make it worthwhile.
So, when you got started in comics, what made you get started in comics? What was your superhero that you're like, damn, I gotta sell every one of his comics. I want to own it all. I'm gonna be.
That is kind of the great archaeological mystery of my life, and I get asked this question a lot. I can remember as far back as I have a conscious memory that I've always been into comics or attracted to comics. What I think was kind of the genesis of me as a fan was I was born in 1966, in the late 1960s, they were still showing Superman, Batman, Spider-Man, and Fantastic Four cartoons on TV.
Yeah.
And my earliest images that are ingrained in my head are some scenes from that show, those various shows, just that. And my mother would read comics as a kid, Archie, Little Lulu, more of the girl comic books, not so much superhero, science fiction. So my guess is when we'd go to 7-Eleven or whatever, I'd see Spider-Man or Batman, and Mommy buy me that. She would buy me that and Richie Rich and Archie. And then I'm fortunate enough to have a brother 10 years older than me. So when I was, 6, 7 years old, he had friends 16 and 17 years old that were buying the stuff in the 60s, and they were giving me those comics.
Right.
And, so at a young age, I had read all the Silver Age Spider-Man, all the Silver Age Fantastic Four, Tales of Suspense, Superman, Batman, and it kind of grew from there. So I've always loved it. In terms of retail, I knew that I always wanted to do something with comics. I met Tom Bowles, and he owned a comic book shop. And I asked him one time, it's like, man, I think I would really, how do you do this? He says, well, look, find a collection, buy the collection, keep what you want, because invariably you're going to do that. And that's how you really build your collection. Sell the difference, repeat. And that's how it got started. I bought my first collection, kept some things, sold some things, did my first show, bought more, and I was off and running. I still collect. I still buy a lot of comic books every week. I read comic books daily. I have comic books in my collections I've had since I was 4 and 5 years old. Will not get rid of them. Some of them are in terrible shape, some of them are in great shape, but they mean something to me.
Right.
I will always collect and read comics, and it's my privilege to be able to take that medium and introduce it to younger people. And tell them, look, try this. Why don't you like this? And invariably, if let's say I introduce 15 kids into comics, and 2 of them become avid readers, at least we've introduced that many more people into the hobby, in which we need. We need readership. So that's kind of how I got into it, and worked for Tom for a long time, running the store. Great times, boom times.
Back when it was great.
Yeah, and we had good times, bad times, but tremendous experience. I still see people like yourself. I'll be in Publix. Hey, were you that guy that ran a comic book store with Tom? I'm like, yeah, that was me. And I kind of tell Pete here a lot of times, I reminisce about the old days. I said, man, you don't understand. We were running comics in this town for a long time.
There was no other place. It was either you or the other place on your menu further down, and they were jerks.
Right.
The one past Holy Smokes.
I know exactly who. Darlene's Cards and Comics.
Yeah.
I remember that guy was a jerk.
I didn't care too much for them.
So, something I just have always loved and very passionate about, and it seems now that we've been legitimized with all these movies and cartoon shows and the mass marketing of superheroes and the superhero and the kids wearing the clothing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I view it as they finally caught up to us.
Finally, that's how you would say it. It finally got caught up to us.
The mainstream has now finally caught up to us, and the things that we like, the superhero movies, the apparel, the free comic book day, all of that. That's stuff that we were doing, in one fashion or another for years, and I don't want to say it was looked down upon, but it was certainly a niche.
Right.
Now it's more mainstream. You have more what I call civilians, going to comic book shows that have never been to before, or coming into comic book shops that, have never come into a shop, read, things of that nature. So it's pretty good that's now more people are realizing the medium, and I'm very happy about that.
Okay. Okay, give me 1 second. Hit stop. I'm going to start again.